Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sushmita, and I'm part of the Mind Music Machine Lab, and Dr. John is my advisor. Let me quickly get started with the presentation. All right. So I am going to be talking about my thesis, which is exploring the effects of language of in-vehicle agents on these three metrics. So I know this title is a little long, so let me get started by breaking this down into the key focus areas of this research. Um, and let me begin with affect. So, affect or emotions in the context of driving has been extremely important in determining how the performance of the driver and the safety of the driving is going to be. Specifically, any kind of high arousal of emotions, be it positive or negative, can impact the driver because driving itself is a pretty heavy task with respect to cognition and thinking, and you need to multitask. So specifically this thesis focuses on angry drivers, and the next part of this research deals with the in-vehicle agent, as the title suggests. And in-vehicle agents are artificial intelligence systems embedded in a vehicle that could be a navigational system, or that could have extra sensors which helps the driver through the process of driving. And research has shown that in-vehicle agent systems can help in promoting safe driving behaviors and can reduce the cognitive load. An extension of this subject is the in-vehicle agent interventions, which is the interactions that the agent has with the drivers. And research shows that if we match this emotion with the emotion of the driver, it can positively impact driving performance. So, looking at these three areas, there has been a lot of research trying to find the optimal in-vehicle agent characteristics. For instance, if a female voice or a male voice is more impactful in this space, and if an embodied agent or the lack of an embodied agent, which is just a voice agent, will that be more helpful in improving the driving performance? So, given that there is a lot of literature already in this area, how this study is different is that we are focusing on another key aspect, which is language. So, standalone, there has been a lot of research connecting language with thought processes and how it can help, or how it can influence human behavior. But that, in the context of driving, has never been fully explored before. So, this study aims to specifically look at the native language and a secondary language of the participants, and see if the in-vehicle agent talking to them in their native language has any kind of impact on their driving performance, situation awareness, and perceived workload. So let me talk a little bit more about language, and then we can jump into the study. So language is a very important aspect that influences human behavior during social interactions, and it directly shapes the way that we think. Um, So there have been a lot of theories emphasizing the interconnection between thought and language, and this has been explored in various spheres. And people, for instance, one study was looking at the writing sphere, where people think and come up with writing content. And if the question was posed to them in their native language, it was seen that they were faster in coming up with content than in their secondary language. So this sort of is a very interesting space, and if we bring this into driving and see if it can actually help the drivers in promoting safer driving behaviors. So talking about language and its effects in the driving space, there has been some effort, and specifically this was with respect to the warning systems in the handover of automated cars. But this is restricted to just that domain, and there has not been research talking about how the intervention itself can influence drivers. So this is the gap in the research that this study is aiming to fill. Um, so let's look at the research objectives. There are two research objectives. The first one deals with how native and secondary language processing has an impact on angry drivers specifically, with respect to the three dimensions that we're going to look at, which is performance, situation awareness, and perceived workload. And the hypothesis is that all of these three metrics will be better if the in-vehicle agent is conversing in the native language of the driver. And for the purpose of this study, we've taken two native languages. One is Hindi and another is Chinese. And the secondary language that we're going to look at is English. So each participant will either be a native Hindi speaker or a native Chinese speaker, and also understands English, and English is their secondary language. Moving on to our next research question. So taking a step back from language, we're also looking at if the embodiment of an in-vehicle agent or just the presence of it can impact the driver. So we're studying how the presence and absence of the in-vehicle agent is again going to influence the driving behavior. And the hypothesis is that all of these metrics will be better if there is an agent present who is conversing with them, as opposed to the absence of an agent. So these are the two research questions that we aim to resolve. And looking at the setup and the equipment, this study was, so the Nortec driving simulator was used for this study, which we see here. It has three curved HD TVs. So if the driver is in there and is enclosed in that space, it sort of gives them this immersive experience of them driving the vehicle. And moving on to the in-vehicle agent, Milo is a humanoid robot, and this was used as the in-vehicle agent in this context. And I'll quickly show you what the setup looked like. So the participant would be sitting in the driver's seat, and Milo will be going alongside the participant. So this is how the participant will be looking at the road and driving. Moving on to the procedure. So as I mentioned earlier, Hindi and Chinese were taken into consideration, and a total of 24 participants were taken for this study. 12 were Hindi speakers and 12 were Chinese speakers. I mentioned earlier that this study focuses on angry drivers, and to ensure that the participants are angry when they're driving, we had a small exercise which is called the emotion induction process, which happened at the offset of the experiment. So I'll quickly walk you through this process. Initially, the participants who come in will fill in a Likert scale questionnaire recording how they feel at that moment. So it could be that they were neutral, it could be that they were happy, but we have them record their feelings. And after that, we ask them to write about an incident in the recent past that was associated with anger. And we show them sample paragraphs, and the idea is that they sit for a couple of minutes, relive that memory, and write it down. And past research has shown that it has been very effective to sort of invoke the feelings that they felt at that point. And in this case, we specifically asked for anger inducing incidents. So they had to spend 10 to 12 minutes concentrating on that incident and write it down. So the writing process sort of has a greater effect in bringing that emotion back to them. After which they were again filling the questionnaire as to how they felt, whether there was a difference before and after the emotion induction process. And I will be showing you results of how the participants recorded this in the future. And once this was done, we have relatively angrier participants who are ready to drive. And each participant drove 3 times in the driving simulator, and each lap was approximately 10 minutes each. And in each of these conditions, they either had Milo talking to them in their native language, which is Hindi or Chinese, or talking to them in English, or the absence of the robot itself. And the order of this was fully counterbalanced to remove any sort of negative effects that could creep in. And during the 10 minutes, they faced obstacles or incidents took place during their lab, which was to influence their emotional state. And if Milo was present, there were interventions designed to sort of accomplish two things. One, echo the emotions of the driver and sort of empathize with their perceived emotions, and two, regulate it so that it does not impact their future driving. And I will show you a couple of videos to better understand the nature of these obstacles. And talking about situation awareness, so we employed a methodology wherein we paused the scenario at a predefined point, but the participant was not aware of when we will be pausing it. And we sort of hit the screen. So all three screens were blanked, and they were asked questions such as what did they see during, what did they see at that point of time in the screen that was interesting to them? And what did they think will happen next? So there are three levels of situation awareness. The first being perception, the second being comprehension, so comprehending what is happening, and the third being projection, as to determining what will happen next. So we wanted to cover all three levels. Therefore, we asked questions covering all three levels and sort of to find out if they were situationally aware at any given point. And lastly, after each lap, they recorded how they felt and their perception of the in-vehicle agent or the lack of the in-vehicle agent. Let me show you two scenarios here where the intervention happens with the in-vehicle agent. So in this case, we had the in-vehicle agent warn the driver saying, watch out, the vehicle in front of you is about to swerve. So in this scenario, the in-vehicle agent's sensors was able to catch the wheels of the upcoming vehicle move and warn beforehand so that the driver does not maintain the speed of the car and suddenly abruptly stop just before the incident happens. So in this intervention, if there is an in-vehicle agent, they will convey this message beforehand so that they have time to reduce their speed gradually and face the obstacle. And of course, if the in-vehicle agent is not present, they will have to do it on their own, and this would depend on how their situation awareness is. Let me quickly show you just one other scenario. So in this scenario, something unpredicted happens, which the in-vehicle agent is also not aware of. And the two things that I was talking about earlier, which is one, echoing the sentiments of the driver, and two, trying to regulate their emotions, is what this intervention aims to achieve. So the in-vehicle agent is sort of trying to calm the driver down so that going forward, that incident does not affect their driving behavior. So these are some examples of the scenarios that the participants faced, and they faced a lot more than this over the course of the 30 minutes that they drove separately. Um, okay, now moving on to analyzing the data and getting the results. Once we had all 24 participants run the study, we got two sets of data. One is the subjective survey data, which was asked after every lap and which recorded how they felt about the in-vehicle agent. And the second was from the driving simulator itself, which recorded how the drivers had run the laps. So I'll start with the subjective data. And before that, I'll quickly show you the results of the emotion induction. So this is based on the self-reported emotions of the participants. Before induction, and specifically just the anger levels. So before induction, their anger level was with a mean of 1.5, and after induction, it significantly increased. And this is at the end of the study. So this has decreased from after the induction maybe because of the time factor. So it has been a while since they relived that memory. So there is an attenuation of the emotion, or it could be attributed to the agent's interventions who were trying to regulate the emotions. So we cannot say for sure that it was the agent, but there has been a decrease in their anger level after the study. So this sort of validates that the emotion induction process that we had adopted was successful in inducing anger in the participants. So moving on to the agent characteristics. So the first result here talks about the warmth characteristics of agents. So along different dimensions like emotional, compassionate, happy, and sociable scales, we see that all of the participants aggregated have deemed the native language speaking agent to be higher in these quotients, and that was sort of the intention when we were designing the interventions. So we want the agents to sort of have this emotional connect, and given that the agent is talking to them in their native language, it sort of deepens the connection. And we see here that the English and no agent conditions are sort of comparable, with sometimes people preferring the English, sometimes people preferring the no agent. So I talk in detail about why the results are like that after I show you the rest of the results. Moving on to um, another scale. So this is solely with respect to the English and the no English and the native agent condition. So we asked them to rate the anthropomorphism and animacy, how they perceive the agents in these scales. And it is interesting to note that in both these scales, they felt that the native agent was higher when compared to the English agent. And another scale, which was the annoyance scale, we see that across all the aspects of annoyance, native language speaking agent was considered the least annoying. I will now move on to the situation awareness results. So, like I spoke about earlier, this captures all three levels of situation awareness and an aggregated total. So, with respect to level one, which is perception, uh, there sort of is a pattern, but there was no statistically significant difference amongst the results for the three conditions. And this is interesting to note because perception, which is just perceiving what is happening in the surroundings, seems to have so the agent condition does not seem to have any effect on this facet of situation awareness. So regardless of if an agent is there or not, the participants were able to perceive what was happening in their surroundings. But things get interesting when we look at the higher levels of situation awareness. Here it looks like the agent condition actually impacts their situation awareness, and in the no agent condition, it sort of degraded their situation awareness. And this could potentially be attributed to the fact that if they're facing a jaywalker or if someone is cutting across, it sort of adds to their emotional arousal, because of which situation awareness is negatively impacted. But if we look at the English agent or the native agent condition, there is another a voice that is sort of empathizing with you and that is trying to regulate your emotions, and as a result, the emotions is not clouding their situation awareness. So and the same thing with respect to the total situation awareness, where the native agent translates to a higher situation awareness. Let me move on to the perceived workload. So this was recorded via a survey called NASA TLX, which aims to record how they felt after the end of each lap and how they perceived their workload to be. So in this case, there was no statistical significance across all of these facets, but the pattern that we see here indicates, especially in terms of effort and frustration, that they were least frustrated in the native agent condition when compared to the other two conditions. So although we don't have statistically significant data, the pattern is common across all of these facets. So we also asked them at the end of their three labs to rate the agents in terms of their preference. So rank them based on their preference. And this was the result. So if we look at the first preference of all the participants, 50% of them said that the native agent was their first preference. And it is interesting to note that the remaining 50% was torn between the no agent and the English agent condition. So intuitively, at least for me at the offset of the study, I thought that people would prefer the native agent condition followed by the English agent condition, and they might not prefer the no agent condition as much. But there was a lot of feedback based on the studies, and I will be discussing that in detail, which sort of explains the trend that we see in this chart. And looking at the least preference, it looked like people indeed selected the no agent as their third preference, followed by English and then the no agent. I will talk about the driving simulator results and then move on to the feedback that we received after the study. So I will start with reaction time. So we saw that there were obstacles to which the driver had to react to. And let me show you a couple of reactions before defining how we measured the reaction time. This is one participant's data, and in this case, the speed has not decreased, and this time frame is during the event alone. So from the start of the event to the end of the event, and we see that during those 7 odd seconds, the speed has not reduced a lot, but they have engaged with the steering wheel to sort of avert whatever was coming their way, and they have not engaged with the brake pedal, but they have sort of taken the leg away from the acceleration pedal. So in this scenario, this particular participant used the steering wheel and, to sort of avoid the obstacle. If we look at another reaction, in this case, there has been a dip in the speed, and that is because the brake has been engaged with, and the steering wheel not so much during the obstacle. So this shows us that for any obstacle, intuitively, the participant can react in multiple ways. It could be that they steer away from the obstacle. It could be that they reduce their acceleration and they're able to manage, or they could engage with the brakes. So to account for the different behaviors, we have defined reaction time to encompass all three facets, which is acceleration, brake, or steering wheel angle being engaged. And we have calculated this from when the intervention has begun. Since the intervention is going to last for a couple of seconds, depending on the language, it would be fair to have a standard point from where we begin measuring it. And that's why we have calculated it from when the intervention starts. And the results show that if the agent is conversing in the native language, the reaction time is about 4 seconds from when they start receiving the data. And for English, it is about 4.5 to 5 seconds. But for the no agent, it is in the order of 9 seconds. And this is not surprising because let's say something was to happen and you were warned earlier, you will start reacting to it regardless of the language. But if there is no agent present, you will be going further along the road before you see it and you react to it. So this showed that the native language actually resulted in the least reaction time amongst the three conditions. Talking about another related metric, which is jerk. Um, so jerk is defined as the rate of change of acceleration with respect to time. And from the speed data that we got from the driving simulator, we have calculated jerk. And after removing anomalies, this is what the minimum and maximum jerk looks like. So although there was no statistical significance here, but we can see that the native agents jerk was minimum when compared to the three conditions. And it was also interesting to note that at certain times in the no agent condition, the jerk was actually lesser than the English agent condition. And one potential reason could be that today we are, as drivers, are more attenuated to English speaking in vehicle agents, for instance Google Maps or any other agent that we use. So it could be that we are so used to the agent conversing in English language that we sort of maybe subconsciously disregard the information that we get. But when someone is talking to us in our native language, it sort of influences us further, so we react to it earlier. So that could be one potential reason for this discrepancy. I will just talk about one more metric and we will move on to the discussion phase. So speed is a metric which is often associated with safe driving behaviors. So if the speed is lower than in a certain condition, it is often associated with the driving scenario being safer, regarding according to the previous research. So here we see that the native language does seem to be lesser than the English in all the three conditions that we see here, which is average, maximum, and minimum speed. But again, the same thing that we saw in the jerk scenario. So in certain cases, the no agent and English are comparable, but the no agent is lesser than the English agent in certain other cases. And this could be attributed to the same behavior that we spoke about in the earlier slide. So gathering all of these survey data and the driving simulator data together, let's tie this back to the research questions that we were talking about in the earlier slide. So the first one deals solely with the native and secondary language. So in our case, native language and English language. And to answer if the driving performance was better, we looked at multiple driving simulator data ranging from the reaction time, jerk, and speed that we saw earlier to other metrics such as acceleration over the course of this event. And disregarding the no agent, it looks like the native agent is definitely improving the driving performance when compared to the English agent. So this hypothesis was supported by the results. Similarly, with respect to situation awareness, we saw that there was statistical significance in the higher levels of SA. So if level 1 being just perception, the agent did not have any impact, statistically significant impact on the situation awareness, but higher levels definitely did improve the situation awareness when the native language was used. And similarly, with respect to the perceived workload, looking only at English and no agent, English and native agent, we were able to find statistical significance where the native agent had lower perceived workload. So the native and secondary language sort of had concrete results. But moving on to the presence and absence of an agent, the presence now could either be an English speaking agent or a native speaking agent. So if we look at the driving performance, we cannot say 100% according to the results of this study that the driving performance was better when an agent was there. So we are carefully positing that it is partially supported because looking at native agent and no agent, there was statistically significant data confirming that the driving performance was better. But because we had this English agent condition as well, so they comprise the presence of an in-vehicle agent in this study, we cannot fully say that the driving performance was better in this case. Similarly, with respect to situation awareness, we saw that in this case, actually, there was clear evidence that the absence of an agent degraded their situation awareness. So this particular hypothesis was supported. But looking at the perceived workload, sometimes English and no agent were at par with respect to the perceived workload. So this particular hypothesis was not supported by the results of this study. So taking a step back and looking at what we have looked at so far, native language and secondary language, there was a vast difference in these different metrics according to the results. And this sort of shows that talking in the native language of a person sort of helps the driver uh, drive better and improve their situation awareness, which automatically will improve their safety while driving. But with respect to the presence and absence of an agent, there is no concrete evidence that if an agent is present, it will definitely help the driver. And to understand this a little further, we collected some feedback, and let me go through the different conditions and then sort of talk about what this means for this study. So when they were talking in the native language, people felt that they were driving in their hometown, and they sort of felt very happy, thinking that the agent was actually talking to them in Hindi or Chinese. And when the agent was echoing the sentiments of the driver, saying, oh my God, he shouldn't have cut through in their native language, it sort of helped them connect more to the agent than if they were just saying that the same thing in English. So this achieved the intention that we were hoping that it would achieve. And people actually even felt that it was more compassionate when talking in the native language. Looking at the English language, a few participants felt that they actually liked it because they're so used to conversing in English, and in the setting of them driving, they were comfortable enough when the agent was talking in the English language. But with respect to no agent, an important feedback that we got was, depending on the driver's state of mind, they liked it if there was no agent driving with them. For instance, if I am extremely frustrated, or it could be that I'm preoccupied with something else, if some agent is continuously talking to me, that sort of takes away from the thing on my mind. So they did not prefer it at certain times. So at certain times, of course, they were very happy that an agent was there helping them, but it was not always the case. And this feedback sort of ties back to the results that we saw, where the no agent did not perform the worst as we expected. So the takeaway from this study primarily is that given an in-vehicle agent in a vehicle setting, it would be best if it offered multiple languages to begin with. So not just English, but if it could support multiple other languages, and if it could allow the users to choose their language, it would sort of benefit the driver. And based on the results solely of this study, if native language could be a default option, it probably would be better for the user because they preferred it over the English language. But this does not mean that the in-vehicle agent should always be present and should always be intervening in every scenario. So given that we give the control to the user, they should be able to choose whether they want an in-vehicle agent or not, and which language they want to set it to. So completely giving the control to the user as opposed to the system having its default settings would be the most conducive in this environment. So I think with that, I sort of conclude the results and discussion phase. I will quickly talk about future scope with respect to this study, and I will conclude. So for one, this study only looked at Hindi and Chinese and the behavior of the participants. So definitely future studies can go beyond these two languages and even English for that matter, and look at the relationship between the primary and secondary language in the context of driving. So that is one thing that we can definitely explore in the future to validate the results of this study. And the second one is about the emotion induction. So although we saw that it was successful in increasing the anger levels of the driver, it was self-reported and subjective completely. And to avoid this, measures like facial emotion detection systems or FNERs to measure whether the arousal has actually been achieved will sort of validate that the emotion induction was successful. And with respect to this study itself, last year, this time, I was talking about using a facial detection system to sort of gauge the current emotion of the driver and have the in-vehicle agent respond accordingly. So if the driver is calm, maybe not respond at all. But if the driver is angry or afraid, then maybe react in that way. But unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 outbreak, facial masks were mandated, and because of that, you can't really detect the affect of the participant. So we had to take a step back and reroute and do what we had to do. But in the future, it would definitely improve the accuracy of the emotion induction process at least. So we will know objectively that we have achieved a high arousal in the participant before they drive. So those are two potential extensions of this study. And with that, I would like to conclude with this quote by Nelson Mandela, which says that if you talk to a man in a language he understands, it goes to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, it goes to his heart. So maybe while designing in-vehicle agent systems, if we could sort of glean from this quote and design accordingly, it might lead to more conducive driving environments. So these are some of the references that were used. And with that, I would like to conclude. Thank you. I'll be happy to take questions.